What is up, survivors? And we got another top 5 base location, and this one is going to be for the center map. Again, we're going to crank through all the maps. We did the island, we did Scorched Earth, we're on to the center. We're going to go through the whole maps, all of the maps that are currently out right now, tell you my top 5 base locations. Now, as always, these are not in any specific order. It's just 5 locations that I would usually tend to build at. So let's get started with number 1. Number 1's probably not a big secret. This is the ruins towards the middle of the map, and we're sitting at 4757, basically in the middle in that center river. There's these giant ruins here, which is pretty amazing. Not only does it look awesome and there's plenty of space to build in here, but it's also really easy to defend, and it's pretty central as far as the map location goes. What we have are just this giant ruined kind of mazy infrastructure here that has like its own little separate compartments down in here. This winds all up and around. You have the staircase, this spot up top. Really, you could just kind of gate this stuff off. There's not a whole lot that comes wandering up certain ways and certain avenues in this, so it's really easy to build up here. This bottom part takes a little bit of creativity to wall off and gate off, depending. I mean, if you just wanted to use dino gates, you could gate the bottom of these dino gates off, but you do have this open area here. And like I said, you have this huge area up top to work with as well. All of this pretty secluded. Even if you just built up top, really, like even if you just built up top, you'd be pretty far away from just about any of the predators. Not only is the map central, but that means all the resources are fairly central. You got a bunch of resource nodes around you. There's metal right up top of here. There's metal up top of here, just kind of scattered around. And in this general biome, there's going to be metal, there's going to be obsidian, there's going to be crystal, kind of just piled up around here in different locations. Like I said, pretty good location, pretty good spot. Most of your resources are going to be in this general area. It's really safe, and again, I like it aesthetically. It looks amazing. In this general area up and down this river, you're actually going to see ruins predominantly everywhere. So even across the way, there's going to be ruins across the way over here as well. Speed up a little bit. There's even ruins here. They're pretty scattered around this jungle biome, but this specific set is very big. It leaves you with a lot of room, and you can kind of use as much as you want to. You know, you can get crazy with it or build something small up top. Either way, it works for you. Anyhow, that's the number 1 spot right here. And again, not in any particular order. This is just one of the 5. I probably should say that. This is one of 5 over here at 4754. And we're on to the next one. Alright guys, number 2 is actually under the water, and we're sitting at about 65, about 66, 66. What this is actually an underwater bubble that I can walk into, and it becomes a place that I can just hang out in, walk around in. Pretty much it. That's what happens in here. So we have an underwater biome that has, well, not necessarily biome, it's this air bubble basically. I can build inside this air bubble. There's oxygen down here. I can build in here and be completely safe. If you have sea creatures and they go through that bubble, you're probably likely to kill them, so be careful with that. And enemy creatures that try to come in will also die, making you pretty much impervious to anything hostile coming after you. You can always race back into this bubble. Definitely kind of restricts sort of tames unless you're using cryopods or things like that. There are 2 of these bubbles. This one is in the south end of the map, and I kind of like this one because of where we're sitting at. Where I'm pointed is actually Skull Island, so you can actually get a couple of your high-end resources from there, meaning it's kind of close. You get a little bit of metal nodes down here, a little bit of stone, a little bit of wood and berries and things like that. But I mean, if you start building in here quickly, the stuff's going to go away. You can have a little bit of crystal down here too, but as soon as you start building down here, these things aren't necessarily going to keep going. So the bummer part is you're probably going to have to go out and about for resources, but that really kind of dictates what sort of tames you're going to be using to make your life a little bit easier. But I like this. It's secluded, it's away, nobody's really going to mess with you. And it's kind of hard to mess with you when you're down here. Even on a PvP setting, this is definitely something that it's going to be difficult without aquatic creatures coming in here or animals with a significant amount of oxygen to get down here. You're fairly safe. Anyway, that's number 2 down here. Number 3, we're in the Redwood Biome, sort of on the south end, kind of right up against the map edge, but in the middle of the center map. And we're at 9250, around 9251-ish, 9351. This general area, I like this area mainly because it's just gorgeous. You have the giant waterfall, you have the trees, you can build a really cool tree fort, you got some water over here. Resources other than your bare necessities are going to be scarce. You're going to find metal nodes up in here all along the edges of here, and then in different areas in the redwood, you're going to find metal kind of everywhere. Anything outside of that, as far as mid to late game resources, you're going to have to go out for. So that part's kind of a bummer. but I really dig the location. I really dig the location. A couple of these trees are really tight together, so you can connect some tree houses if you want to. You have a little bit of water down in here. Yeah, just beautiful, really. This is kind of just an aesthetic thing. Is functionality. Yeah, you're gonna have to do a lot of trailering back and forth, but and there actually is some crystal nodes out here. You'll see these the little guys kind of spawned in around these metal nodes periodically, but that's pretty much it. You're not going to see like a huge obnoxious amount of it. Plus obsidian's going to be something you're going to go out for. Oil, pearls, those things you're going to have to go out for. But so I mean, it's kind of half and half. But if you have some flyers, a decent flyer, it won't be too bad for you. And this is number 3. Number 4 is right on the edge. We are on the land bridge at 6822. This is right on the edge of the Southern Mountain and the Redwoods. Now, the thing that I like about this one is not only are you in a good spot to get into the Redwoods and then get into the floating islands or the ice mountains and things like that, you're pretty central as far as where most of your resources are at, and it's pretty easy to defend. You're on this cliff edge that kind of wheels around here. So there's really only one way up to you and one way down. While it is a bit of an incline, it's a pretty good base location. It's pretty easy just to defend one side that you have to worry about creatures not coming up from all different sides. Definitely makes it a little bit easier to build on. You got plenty of room. Obviously, there's plenty of wood, stone, berries, things like that hanging around. And you have access to the redwood trees literally right in front of you. You could even build back here if you wanted to. Most of your high-end resources are all going to be scattered across the mountains up in here, so you have access to all of those things. And then you actually have access to pearls and some other things right down here in these waterfalls below you. So you do have that. You do have all that going for you. It is a little secluded. Land travel in and outs can be kind of a pain to get, especially if you're going all the way north or trying to get over to the islands. That part can be logistically a little bit of a pain, but the view looks fantastic. The area is plentiful to build on, and all your resources are fairly nearby, and you don't have to deal with the super cold temperatures of the mountains. And number 5 is out here at 3613-ish. This is the ice castle ruins that are down here underneath of the main part of the center. So up above me is basically where Penguin Iceberg is, between the two mountains, and we have these awesome ruins to build around. Now the problem is if this might be a little bit hard on the eyes depending on what your graphics and brightness settings are set to. But if you change those up a little bit, this is actually a super fun place to build, and it's really easy to build in here. It backs up to the ice cave actually, and there is an artifact that spawns back in here, so you have access to that as well. It's just all in all looks great. You do have access to running water here, and there are resource abundance because you are right under the cold mountains, but then you have this whole area down here to play around in as well. So you don't necessarily have to build up in here. You could build anywhere down in here in these grasslands down here. This is a pretty cool area. I really dig it. There's only a couple ways up and down, but there are gigantic land ramps to come up and down into this thing other than just going through the cave or flying in and out. You can fly just straight out that way and straight up and you'll be on the mainland, but there's also 2 different land bridges, one all the way on that end that I just briefly showed you, and then on the other end you can go completely out this way. So there are 2 like giant land formations to get in and out of the sky from. This is probably one of the more fun ones, mainly because even if I'm not building in this castle per se, it is a really cool view if I'm building anywhere out here and I can come out and see that. It's pretty neat, even if you're not building in the castle in and of itself. And you still have access to most of your resources nearby. Cons are you're still a little disconnected. You're gonna have to fly out for some things and ride out for some certain things, but other than that, I dig it. That's probably one of my favorite ones. So obviously there's some spots that we didn't talk about, right? The obvious center, the floating island in the center of the map in and of itself. I like this. It's pretty and it looks gorgeous. Aesthetically, it's amazing. It does have a lot of resources in it. The thing that I just don't like about the floating island is the access. I mean, you're flying in and out of here. Unless you create some massive bridge, you're flying in and out of here constantly. You're using cryopods and containers constantly. Sometimes I like to just be able to get on my mounts and go, and it's not something that you can do. So while the floating island is gorgeous, not necessarily what I would be looking for. One can also say that the underground biome is pretty awesome, and I wholeheartedly agree. There's a couple ways down there. One is actually right down here, and you can get down there that way. It is a giant underground with water in the side and its own light and day in there. It's kind of its own mini biome. I like that area too. Again, accessibility kind of cuts it off for me. So those are only reasons why those 2 weren't on the list for me. While I enjoy them and I think they look great, they're definitely just not in my top 5. That's literally like 6 and 7 probably. But if I had to put a #1 spot on it, probably the ruin spot that we mentioned right off the break. Mainly because it's easy, it's center point, the resources are nearby, it's fairly easy to build in, and you can work with the ruins so you don't have to do a whole lot of work. Plus you can do something really cool if you try to remodel them a little bit. If you're running mods, obviously you can do some mods in there to make that happen, but that's pretty much it. Anyway guys, that's the top 5 base locations on the center. Hope you liked the video. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, and I will see you guys on the next one.